How's it going, gang? It's the Final Render here, and welcome back to another exciting Fallout 76 building video. In this video, we're going to be looking at shelters, and we're going to be looking at some of the cool building tips you can use to make some really cool shelters. I've been looking over YouTube, and people have been sending me some really cool, really big tips on how to improve shelters. So in this video, we're going to look at a couple of these really cool fat tips that are definitely going to help you guys enjoy building with Fallout shelters. Some of them are from me, some of them are from other people. I've put links to who they are in the description, and if someone else came up with them before these people, I apologise, but I'm going to leave links to the people where I first saw them. But that being said, let's look at our very first fat building tips for Fallout shelters. So to kick off this really cool video on Fallout 76 shelter building tips, we are first going to talk about how you can integrate your shelter entrances into your camp in a really cool way. And in order to do that, of course, we first need a camp. So we have come to my camp here, which is currently set up in Newgad. This is a kind of temporary draft camp. I'm kind of planning a camp to make a video on in the future, using these really cool Brotherhood of Steel themed watchtowers. I think they look really, really good, but that video may be a long way off for now. Okay, so how can we integrate our shelter doors into our camp in a really cool way? Well, first thing, to just kind of explain, I first saw this technique by a YouTuber called Tia. He's a good buddy, and also he saw this technique from someone on Twitter called Call Me Nobody. So if you enjoy this fat tip for building, make sure you go onto Tia's YouTube channel and you go onto Call Me Nobody's Twitter and tell them you enjoyed their fat tip. Okay, so what is the fat tip we're going to talk about? Well, firstly, we need to kind of look at these doors. So these doors to enter your shelters, we got a few flavours. We have firstly got the Vault Utility Room entrance, which is honestly the nicest one in my opinion, and is also the most no-nonsense one. Excuse me, how dare you? Sorry about that. This one's pretty no-nonsense, you know. You can just pop it down anywhere in the dirt, and it looks pretty good no matter where you stick it. So therefore, nothing really wrong with that one. Stick it where you please. Then we have got these atrium shelters. Now, I don't like these at all. They are way too big, they're pretty ugly, and they're really goddamn laggy to work with, so I'm not even going to mention those. But here we have these vault doors. Now these do look good, but there are some issues with them. Firstly, they are extremely thick. Thick with 3 C's. Look at that right there. Very thick door, and also it doesn't actually snap into any doorways we have. So how can we make this lobby door look like it's integrated into our camp? Well, firstly, you could just kind of pretend that it works somehow. You know, you can kind of make it fit it in somewhere so it goes green and looks like a door. You know, kind of like that. You know, you can fit it into the Brotherhood of Steel entrance if you wanted to. But that's not what we're really going to show. This technique that Call Me Nobody originally found involves using the ramps, the foundation ramps specifically. So if you look at these are actually pretty darn useful pieces that are just part of the normal basic vanilla building set. And you can go and pop those down. The intention is to use these kind of like stairs. What we're going to do instead is just turn it into kind of a stairway going down into our shelter, because these are meant to be underground after all. So what we're going to do is get our foundation piece and then line it up manually against our regular foundation. We don't want to snap it because we need this thing to have some height. It needs to be the height of the door frame. So we just got to spend our time manually adjusting it so it is flush with our foundation. Looks pretty good right there. And then all you need to do is just place your door right in front of it right there. And then you just spend some time lining it up perfectly in order to get it to look really good. It will want to jump up. Just don't let it jump up. Don't let it get down either. You know, just go pick it up and then move it back slowly, one bit at a time, until you can eventually get it to work. It might actually be easier in hindsight to put down the door first and then put the foundation in place manually, because the foundation has got quite a large bounding box and it's a bit hard to actually get the door in there sometimes. But yeah, look at that. Now you actually have a really cool entranceway going down into your shelter. It looks like a stairway. And of course, you could do some more things with this if you wanted to. You could go and put up walls and stuff like that and actually integrate it into your building if you wanted to. Maybe you could like put like a little roof piece going down there, the front of it and stuff, you know. Point is, do some experimenting, have fun with it. But this is a really cool way to integrate these specific vault doors into your camp. So thank you very much to Call Me Nobody on Twitter, and thank you very much to Tia on YouTube for showing this fat tip on the internet. I really enjoyed it. And so for our next tip on Fallout 76 shelter building, we're going to be looking at lights and conduits in particular. So here we are inside my firing range shelter. I've actually got a full video on this shelter if you're interested in looking at how you can build one of these firing ranges yourself. Really cool video, you guys seem to really enjoy it. I'm glad you really had some fun with that one. But there is one thing which is really unique about this shelter that I haven't seen too many other people doing. And that is, of course, its conduit lighting system. So the cool thing about this conduit lighting system is that it is exactly in line with the kind of beams on the ceiling. If I go and actually store one away there, you can see we have got those metal brackets kind of along the ceiling. But I've gone and lined up these conduit pieces exactly in line with where it is. So why would you do that, you may ask? Well, one, it keeps it completely hidden from any mess. So therefore you have no wires draping across your shelter. And it also means if you need power anywhere inside your shelter, all you need to do in order to get some power there is just go and grab one of the electrical conduit emitters, which you can go and find somewhere in here. They have the little light beam emitters on them, which you should see pretty soon. These right here, this is what I was talking about. These are the power radiators. If you need some power somewhere, you can just expand it very quickly and easily by popping another one of them there. So you essentially have a shelter that doesn't need any wires, which is really nice. However, there is one extra benefit, which is really great about using conduits to have all of your lights in place. As you can see, all of these conduits have these little lights right here. This is what I use to actually light my shelter. So you go and pop all of those up there, and of course you can even rig up an actual switch if you wanted to turn everything on and off all at once, which is really great. But the main reason why this is good is because if you actually look at these do not count in your building budget as lights. What do I mean by that? Well, as you can see here, if we look up the top right of the screen, I can only build 50 lights. Now, with shelters, you might want to use loads of lights to be a bit creative. You know, you might want to write some messages and stuff like that. You might want to play with shadows and stuff like that. However, we still only have 50 lights as a hard limit. So therefore, if you need to light your camp, light it using conduits, specifically with these light bulbs here, because then you have more room in order to actually put lights down to be creative with, which is ultimately the point of shelters after all, right? So save some budget, make it look tidier, use power conduits inside your shelters. It takes a long time to get it right, and it does take a little more resources, I'm not gonna lie, in fact a lot more resources, but you get a much tidier and cleaner looking shelter as a result of it. So if you guys have been following the Final Render channel for a while, you know one of my favourite things to do in the game is to create fully stacked shelves inside your camp. Now I've been doing this for a while and it's a brilliant way to make your camps look good. And now at first I actually said that this wasn't possible in shelters because the glitch we used to make fully stacked shelves in shelters was not possible. However, it turns out it is possible, and I know this because a friend of the channel called Captain Beardy found a way to get it to work, to where we can actually get items on shelves really neatly and really efficiently. So, how does this work, you may be saying? Because if Final Render didn't know how to do it, it must be really complicated. Nope, turns out I was just being an enormous dum-dum, and Captain Beardy was being a smart, because it's actually a very old and very simple technique. And what that is involves using flamethrowers. Now, what you need to do first is place down your shelving unit where you'd like to have some decorations in the position where you would like it to be. It's very important that you put the shelf in first where you want it to be, because you're not able to move this shelf, once it is placed in position. And then what we need to do is go and put down a flamethrower trap. We can go and put it right here, for example. Now, obviously, if you're new to the game, you don't know how to get flamethrowers, you need to, I believe, get the plan for it. And also, you will have to have a very specific perk, which is this one, the Home Defense perk. You'll need to make sure you've got that, preferably at rank 3, in order to build all the really advanced turrets, including the flamethrower trap. So, what we need to do now is destroy this shelf. And let me explain why we need to destroy the shelf. Because if we go and try to place something onto this shelf, I don't know, let's go get an item. Let's get this ship in a bottle right here. We try to put this on the shelf. That could go there, but then we try it here. Never mind, it keeps working for this one. Let's try a different item, shall we? Let's try these supply crates here. We can go and pop this medium supply crate right there. And then we can go and see it shoots up to the second level. So why is that, I wonder? We can even try to place it on the second level and it shoots up there, etc. It just, for some reason, does this bizarre glitch. And it does that for a lot of items. So what we need to do is go and destroy this shelf once it's in place by triggering this flamethrower. Flamethrowers are the only things the player can control to destroy their own stuff. And then disarm the flamethrower right there. And now when we enter the build mode, you can see we have a nice template as to where our shelf was. This is so we can walk up to it and initiate the manual repair. But we obviously don't want to do that. What we want to do, because items can float inside shelters, we can align our items where we want them to be and make them float in the air. Looks pretty good, right? Okay, so what we can do is go and crouch down and we can look at our item, get it exactly level. The example shelf I used over there, things weren't exactly level, could have done a better job with that. But here, since we're on video, let's try to make it look a bit better. That doesn't look like it's floating right there, so we can pop that down. And then, we can get a few other things if we want to. We can get other stash boxes, we can get radios or something. That's quite a popular thing to put on shelves, isn't it? We can go and just line that up manually and then pop it down. How about that? Does that look good? Yeah, I'd say that looks pretty good. Let's go and rotate it a little bit maybe. Point is, that's how you can do it. And now all you need to do with your items there is simply repair your shelf. Now you have fully stacked items on your shelf. As I said, this is a very simple technique that Captain Beardy found. It's a very old technique to actually do a build inside Fallout 76. And I'm very, very happy he posted a video on it because I went and told loads of people that it wasn't possible. But it is possible. I was just being a bit dumb. So thank you very much, Captain Beardy, for sharing this big fat tip with us. That was a really, really good tip right there. Next up, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about designing your own furniture in order to make your shelters look a little bit more interesting. This is something we've done a little bit on the channel in the past, and you've actually got much more possibilities to invent your own furniture when building inside shelters. So, let's take a look at some of the stuff that I have built as a quick experiment to see what you can do when making your own furniture inside Fallout 76 shelters. So firstly, we have a bed here. Now, we have actually built these kind of scrappy beds in the past. These are very simple. They are simply just stash boxes with a mattress on top and some shelves at the back of it and also one at the front to make a scrappy looking bed. It's really, really good. It looks great inside your camps, especially if you have some kind of scrappy prefabs around. But now with the shelters, we can also add these really cool kind of power conduits at the top and a curtain to act like a rail system so you can kind of wrap the curtains around yourself when you're sleeping. Really good for privacy, really nice touch, I think. And you could do this with a nice bed as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a scrappy bed, but just the idea of putting curtains around your pre-made furniture is great. You could also, hypothetically, turn this into showers if you wanted to, which I think is very, very cool. Next up, we have something which I think is really, really cool that I used to do lots of inside Fallout 4. And what I've got done here is that I have got a basketball hoop and then placed a flower bed inside the basketball hoop. It's a really nice decoration and it's really simple to do. All you got to do is place down your basketball hoop, and then once the basketball hoop is down, you need to go and grab a flamethrower. And of course, since objects can float inside shelters, you can just put it to the exact height of the flamethrower, give it a torch, yada yada yada, and get that destroyed. And then all you need to do is get whatever plant pot or whatever round object you want to put inside your basketball hoop, get it to levitate in there since we obviously have no kind of physics in here, and then repair the basketball hoop. Now you've got a beautiful thing to display some flowers in. Looks great, I think. Here we have a makeshift coffee table. Now this is obviously a very large coffee table. You would probably have like 8 or 9 chairs around it, but this is actually a rug. And what I've done is that I've got this rug and then I've put a little table underneath it to act as like a support. So in reality, yeah, you probably don't necessarily need to do this, but if you wanted a really nice big round table, then you could use this rug to do it. Point is, it's an example of making your own furniture. And for my next technique, I'm going to go and show you guys how to make some really cool signs. Now, this is arguably something that should be in the creating your own furniture section of the video, but I'm going to go and put it in here now because I thought of it just as I was about to stop recording. So, what we're going to do is make a very special custom sign with a blank background. So how are we going to do that? Well, firstly, we're going to get some lamplit posters right there lined up on the wall neatly, and then we're going to get a nice wide poster. I've got this Captain Cosmos one here, which you get by completing the first season of Fallout 76. And I'm going to place it right about there or so. You know, get it lined up neatly against the lamplit posters. Maybe lower it a little bit as well, in fact, just so we see less of that poster behind it. That looks good. And then we can grab whatever light or posters we want, and we can put those on there. Except we can't. Okay, never mind. And then after that, we can grab our posters and whatnot, and we can just go and place them right on top of it. Now, obviously, objects are floating right now, so this is great because it means essentially we can put up these posters without actually having to snap them to a wall, because this isn't a wall. It's obviously the back of a poster. In fact, we wouldn't even be able to flip that original poster around to the opposite side, would we? So therefore, we can actually mess around with it and make a really cool kind of board there with lots of posters around and stuff like that. There we go, that's looking okay. And we also need some power to get the actual lights going. Why don't I very, very quickly and easily rig up a little bit of power. Let's go and grab one of the small generators right there. And then we'll also just grab a wire in this one instance, okay? I hate wires, but this is just for the purposes of demonstration after all, isn't it? Boom! That's a really nice way to display posters, I think. You know, going ahead and putting the lamplit posters and then covering them up with other things. I'm definitely going to expand on that idea. That's really cool. So those were some really cool Fallout 76 shelter building tips. I hope you enjoyed some of these tips, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can build with them inside the shelter system. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a like and a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Remember to subscribe. In a few days, we're going to have some Cyberpunk on the channel. That's very exciting, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, gang. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Special thank you to all our YouTube members, including a special shout out to all of our level 3 members, which currently consists of PsykerGirl,